welcome to Polymer Clay TV. I'm Elisa, and we are going to be making some really cool flowers today. They're really simple to do, but yet look really cool. So here's what I made, and it's got 4 layers to it, and it's really quite simple because these cutters have all the designs already in them. So the thing with these cutters are that you can either just cut out the shape, or you can also imprint the shape. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it, but I just love the way it looks by layering and adding some different embellishments, which I'm going to show you. So I did it in blue with the little copper this time, but I'm going to do one on the show here for you in purple. But let me just talk about other things I used. I used this clay, which is the yellow Primo Gold. And it's got a really nice shimmer to it. They also have white gold, which has, you know, the same kind of shimmer, but obviously in a whiter color. And there's a few other different colors that are pearlescent and whatever that you might want to use. But it's totally up to you. I'm going to use the yellow gold today because it was nice and soft, and I really like the way it shimmers. So I'm also going to use, these come in a set of graduated cutters. There's 3 of them, and I'm going to use all 3 of them. And then we have these. There's also a bird in this set. It's a set of 3 cutters. And for this one, I used this cutter as the base. But for the one I'm going to show you next, I use this one as the base. So you can really change it up, and that's what I want to show you. There's so many possibilities with it. And then I have these color shift paints. And I'm really liking them for doing things on clay that hasn't been baked, because, and like translucent clays, because these are pretty translucent when they're on. So you're not going to get a matte finish with these. These are more like a highlighting kind of thing, and I just really love the way it looks. As you can see here, the blue is actually the color shift blue. So it's just adding a little bit of color without, you know, total saturation. So I'm really liking these. They're not cheap. At Hobby Lobby it says these are $8.99, but we used the coupon. So remember, if you find these, to always use your coupons, because then it's a really affordable thing. And, you know, if you want to get them all, it's $9 a pop. It can get expensive. But of course we're going to use our rod and a poker in case. But we're also using a couple paintbrushes. I really like this paintbrush because, I don't know if you can see, but it comes to a rounded point at the top. It's still wet, so. But I use that to like dip in and kind of get on the edges. And I use this one here with the angle to get on the edges as well. So those are kind of good brushes to look for. And then I'm using one of the leather tools. I actually used this size here to kind of embellish around the edge, and also here to put in the middle. You can do it with a crystal or without. That's totally up to you as well. So little ways to add embellishment's always good. And then I have, when I'm done, this is what I plan to do. I have this bail, and I just stuck it on one of these wires, but I'm going to, once I fire this, I'm going to glue it right on, and then I'll have a beautiful necklace. And it's really simple, as you'll see. So let's get started. Let me move everything out of the way. I've already pre-cut these, but I'll just show you so that you can see how to do it one time. So you just take your cutter, and you want to push into the clay. I have this rolled out to my 2nd thickest setting in the pasta machine. Depending on what you're doing, you decide on what setting is right for you. So I like to give it a little rub so I make sure it cut all the way through. And it did. So then I want to push my plunger down, and I like to kind of move it gently around. I mean, you don't want to go crazy with it, but to see that, you know, you just want to give it a nice push so that you can imprint the design on there. And it'll pop up once it's ready to go, or you can pop it up. And then you can see here that it's still in there. I can clean it out at this point. I noticed there's a piece in between. It's always good to clean out before you take it out of any mold or any cutter. It's always nice to clean it. It makes your work a lot easier, you know, than when you pull it out. Okay, and then you just push down on it, the little lever, and it'll pop it up, and then you can pull it right off. And there you have it. And so this is just one layer there, and you would continue to make all of them by cutting one of each size, which I have here, 3 sizes. And then I also cut one of these as well for the outside. And that just simply, it's a regular cookie cutter. Push down, make sure you got your cut all the way through. This works better when you're working on tile and glass to cut. I don't like cutting on this silicone, it doesn't work very well. But you get the gist. And if you want to get it out, you can use like a little, the end of your paintbrush or rubber tip tool. I'm just grabbing what I have here. And just pull it out. And there you have your base part. So that's that right there. So we don't need that, but you got the gist with that. Okay, so let's put it together. So I'm going to start with this as my base here. And I'm going to start by putting the biggest one, which I have 2 of these, I don't need that one. And I'm going to kind of put it on so that my points line up in between these petals here. I like the way that looks. And you want to center it, obviously. Okay, so there you go. I have that lined up, and I'm going to do the same on this one. You want to take your time and line it up. But for now, I'm just going to layer them on. And that looks about right anyways, I think. And so now is the time that you want to come back and embellish. So I'm going to do it with the purple, and this is the Color Shift purple one. And you want to give it a nice shake. It's thin. It's not a thick paint, so you know it doesn't come out all globby, which is nice. As you can see, I just used the cap actually. So first we want to start by putting our little dot in the middle. And so I'm just pressing straight down. And that's really just to put, if you want to put a crystal in there, you could actually fill it with resin, with a little glitter. There's so many possibilities. You just got to let your imagination go. You could stick a bead in there, anything you want. You don't have to stick anything in there. That sounds funny, but you get the idea. And so that actually, let's put in, before we start painting it, let's put in our embellishments here. And so I'm going to just put one little dot on each of these little, it adds a little something. If you don't have these tools, you can just put a little, use your end of your paintbrush or the end of a pen, you know, where the point is. So you just got to be creative. If you don't have, you know, everything I'm using, there's lots of ideas out there. And turn it. So you get the gist. It's just a matter of adding a little bit of embellishment to bling it up and make it have more interest. I think I got them all. Okay. So now at this point, I can just start. Oh, actually, I use this one here, this brush, to get down into here. That's what I mainly wanted to do, is get so that I get a nice wash of color down in there, and it looks like it's radiating out. So that was what I did, why I used that brush. But then I just kind of went all the way around the edges on all of the petals with the paint. And I didn't go crazy. I didn't keep dipping it in the paint. I used it until it was mostly off my brush. That way it wasn't like this, you know, saturation of color. It was more like a wash kind of look, which is what I was going for. Just randomly kind of, you know, washing it along the edges. And you can wipe it on your work surface there if it's too much, you know, on there. And just go all the way around until you have what you like. You could also, of course, you don't have to use this paint. You can use powdered pigments. You can use any kind of paint you want. I just happen to like this color wash paint for this kind of thing. Because, I mean, it's Color Shift, rather. It is like a wash, though. Now that I think about it, if you really wanted to describe it to someone, it's kind of like adding like a little bit of a wash to the clay, which is nice, you know. It's not oversaturating it with lots and lots of, you know, pigment or whatever. And you just do it until you have it where you like it. You can add multiple colors, and on this other one I actually came back with the gilding polish and just used a tiny bit out of the cap and came back and highlighted the edges, and which I thought gave it a little extra punch, which was nice. And you know, that I used my finger for. So I can control it more, you know, how much I'm putting on there if I'm using my finger rather than a brush for something that you're just wanting a little bit of color off of. I found that, you know, my finger is really one of the best tools for something like this. And there you have it. That's all there is to that, adding the color. Let me take it off here so you can see a little bit better. Look at how pretty that is with very, very, very little work. And so let's add a crystal in the middle. I would want something that's a little bit bigger. I like using the tapered edge crystals because they really fit nicely. And if you can see here on the back here, you can fit it right down in the hole without a problem. And so I just drop it in there. And I use the end of my paintbrush to get it where I want it to go. And then I give it a little push. And this crystal is not falling out, I can tell you that from my experience over the years. Down in there like that, you're never going to get that crystal out. So it makes it, you know, really permanent and nice once you bake it. You don't even have to use any glue. I wouldn't. You can if you want to. You could totally use some Weld Bond or what's this other glue? The Sobo glue. But it's not necessary with this if you do it right. If you create your, you know, your indent and push it in there really well. So that's all there is to it. And now you have a gorgeous flowered pendant, and these would make wonderful gifts. You can make them in all kinds of colors, you know, to go with different outfits. And really, just by changing up the background, you can get a totally different look. Because look at how different these are. Even though I used the same exact cutters, I changed the back piece and got completely different looks on both of these. And those were with these two cutters. So simple, 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 yet beautiful and fun. So I hope you guys will give it a try. And I'd love to see what you make. So come on over to Polymer Clay Tribe. That's our group on Facebook. There's more than 12,000 members, and everybody's sharing and having fun, and lots of things always going on. We have giveaways and challenges and lots of awesome stuff. So come on over to Polymer Clay Tribe and check that out. And you can still get your ticket to Polymer Clay Adventure at polymerclayadventure.com. We're going to stop selling those. That's our set of 24 classes, I believe it is, or maybe even more this year. We're going to stop selling them because we're getting ready to launch the 2018 classes. So we have a great lineup for that. But if you want to get 2017, you need to get it before we stop selling it because it'll never be available again, ever. So, you know, just think about that if you want those set of classes. So I think that's it for now. If you haven't checked out thingscrafty.com, that is our new creative center that we're opening in Lake City. And if you love taking classes, you will love coming to Things Crafty, because we're going to have tons and tons of all kinds of crafts. So come join us, and we'll see you next time.